The Slide Media Sports Slash Hip Hop. This is gonna be my review on Malice and the Palace documentary. A documentary just debuted on Netflix like I think 2 or 3 days ago. It's about the big brawl that happened. Everybody knows about in the Malice between Ron Artest, the Indiana Pacers versus Detroit Pistons. About Ron Artest going to the stands and attacking fans. Almost pretty much way over a decade old, 18, almost 20 years old of this incident happened. But you get a different side on different takes on everything, what happened. Never before seen footage. You hear her talking about. You get to see everything the players went on with them, like getting stuff thrown on them bottles, water bottles, beer, just straight, disrespectful. Just you really hear from the players' standpoint of what they went through, and also you hear about what the fans and what they was doing and stuff that make you look at the fans like, what, like really, like what the world, just showed you how spoiled and just kind of rotten fans can be pretty much. So, like I said, the documentary pretty much shows like I would say how this Indiana Pacers team was so stacked and so good to come together. Like people don't know how good Jermaine O'Neal was back then. People don't talk about him enough. Like Jermaine O'Neal is still one of my favorite basketball players ever. He's part of that big high '96 draft class that people don't talk about. All three draft class was good and dope too, but the '96 just different. Steve Nash, I believe Jason Kidd was in there. Stephon Marbury, Sharif Abdul-Rahim, Kerry Kittles. They weren't big star players, but they were good enough. Like they were good players. Like one time all, I don't know if Kerry Kittles, Sharif Abdul-Rahim were all stars. They were good players as well. But that's just to name a few. And of course, the late great Kobe Bryant was in the '96 draft class. So you already know how it was coming, how big that draft class was. And AI, another one of my favorite players. So you can get on boy AI, he was in that draft class too as well. So, but Jermaine O'Neal was part of that draft class as well. But so Jermaine O'Neal, he was a top 10 player. He was like one of the missing pieces when Indiana was trying to go young. He was the guy they traded for. Indiana traded him from Portland to get him because Jermaine O'Neal pretty much we don't know he started off as a bench one, getting no playing time and like that in Portland. Indiana's where he got his swag and he became like Jermaine O'Neal, the all star player, became that big time scorer. So they had a team stat. They got Jermaine O'Neal. Then I think the next season, a few seasons later, they trade to get Ron Artest. Ron Artest in Chicago. They traded to get him. Know how much of a beast he was. This is prime, big time Ron Artest when he was like Ron Artest literally was like the Dennis Rodman, I believe, of my generation, pretty much. He was like another Dennis Rodman, so they got him, and then they had a certain at least they got a trade with their from the Atlanta Hawks with the Atlanta Hawks to get. I think that trade was actually for Al Harrington. Yeah, they traded Al Harrington to the Hawks to get Captain Jack, Mr. Steven Jackson, Mr. Clutch. You can say what you want about Steve Jackson and all that, but he was clutch. Like I said, he said I made love the pressure. So this team was stacked. Like they was real stacked. One thing I say about this the Indiana team, I feel like they definitely would have won a championship that year. That like before the incident happened. Before I could talk about that, but I thought they definitely would have won a championship that year because that was the '05 year when this happened. That was '04. Later on, it happened. It happened in 2004, but that was going in 2005. That's when, of course, the team they went against when the whole brawl. The Detroit Pistons went to the finals and they lost against the San Antonio Spurs. Now I believe if the Indiana Pacers had Ron Artest and that didn't happen, they would have won the championship. I guarantee, believe so. They would have won that championship. I don't think Ron Artest. He was just so unstoppable. Like they, this is prime Artest. I believe for sure. He definitely would have been able to handle Tim Duncan and all the boys, a prime Tim Duncan and all them. And Jermaine O'Neal. Jermaine O'Neal's not better than Tim Duncan, but Jermaine O'Neal, he was neck and neck with Tim Duncan during this time. I believe Jermaine O'Neal would have got it for sure. And you had Mr. Reggie Miller. Before it was Steph Curry, before it was Ray Allen, it was Reggie Miller. You know what I'm saying? People don't talk enough about how much of a good three-point shooter Reggie Miller was. He was definitely on point when it came to threes. So clutch when hitting three-point shot. I still think Ray Allen and Steph Curry are better than him when it comes to shooting, but and I'm not saying that because they both had championships and he don't, but like I just go off. I'm like, yeah, Ray Allen just man, his shot Ray Allen's so killing, and we know Steph Curry's on another level. He's like the best shooter we ever seen ever. He's on another level, pretty much. That's how Steph Curry is, but Reggie Miller definitely is up there too. Is like my top three shooters. Like Reggie Miller, Ray Allen, and Steph Curry definitely my top three shooters. Reggie Miller definitely was no slouch. So I believe that team definitely would have won. And young Jamal Tinsley as well was on that team. I believe that team for sure most definitely would have won a championship that year in '05 because they was just dominating the league with that roster. Like, you know what I'm saying? Look what I'm telling you who was on that team. Captain Jack, Jermaine O'Neal, Reggie Miller, Ron Artest. That team was going to kill it. But to get back to Malice and Palace, what we see about the incident actually, I didn't even know first started with the whole situation with the confrontation between Ron Test and Ben Wallace. I didn't know till recently too that Ben Wallace's brother had passed away too during that game he played, so Ben Wallace was going through some stuff as well. But when the big foul happened, it happened when Jamal Tinsley tells Ron Artest like, "Hey, you can get your foul down." And Steven Jackson was in the documentary like, Why would you tell somebody Ron Artest that? Put a battery back." And that's when Steven Jackson tried to purposely to make sure he was guarding Ben Wallace so Ron Artest wouldn't foul him. But Ron Artest still ended up fouling Ben Wallace and all that. And he misballed him with Ron Artest. They get into it and all that, and everything just happens. And Ron Artest does. The reason why I say he was laying down on a Dable's test, on that desk, whatever, and all that. On the scores table, I should say. While he was laying down on the scores table. But pretty much because his therapist told him to do that. Hey, lay down, chill. If you going through something. Because Ron Artest was going through therapy at that current time. A lot of people know he was going through mental health problems. But, so he laid down and just, chilled and all that. And then that's when all starts, really. When that fan throws the bottle in the building. So, when that fan threw that bottle, it's like, dang. And that's when Ron Artest just went off, of course, like anybody would. He just sitting there chilling, trying to meditate. And once the bottle fan, that's when he went off. That's what Steven Jackson said. He come up there and he fought. When the fan punched Ron Artest in the bottle again, he punched that guy in the face. And then that's when the fans came down to the stands. When the people, the two brothers, I don't know if they're friends or brothers or not, in the documentary, you see one of the fans had jumped over there and got in Jermaine O'Neal's face and Ron Artest's face. And that's when you seen the video where Jermaine O'Neal punches the guy in the face. Didn't even get a good hook on him because, like Reggie said, if he really punched him, like he might would have killed the dude if he really got a good hook on him. But, like, he ended up punching dude in the face, the two fans that walked in, that just walked out there on the court and all that. And the fun thing about those two fans, too, as well, like Steven Jackson in the interview talks about, like, saying, oh, them guys tried to shoot Jermaine O'Neal, saying they were hurt, like, they had a neck brace and all that. But they were living in Vegas the next week after that, so they were just trying to get some money, get away from him. But we see a lot of stuff like they went through, like fans were still throwing bottles, throwing everything. It's almost like, to tell you the truth, it almost looked like some ECW WWE type junk they were doing. The fans were doing, just throwing bottles, throwing all that. Like how you ever seen back in day wrestling ECW junk, like that's literally what was happening to Malice of Palace of players. Except this is real life, real stuff going on, like almost like a brawl and street fight, for real, for real. So it's kind of interesting to see that from that side of perspective and all that. But also, we don't know about the suspensions and all that, everything that went on and what happened. But I didn't even know that Jermaine Neal went to court and got his suspension reduced. I know all three of them had to, but Ron Artest, he didn't try to reduce it. Steve Jackson, he didn't try to reduce his. But Jermaine O'Neal did and got his, I think, 10 games, 10 or 12 games, ever was, he got his reduced too. But, like I said, still didn't have the matters, because everybody else, Ron Artest still had to sit out that whole year. Because like Ron Artest said, he just wanted to, he said, bump it. But like I said, different scenarios, it just, Jermaine O'Neal always said that kind of hurt his career a little bit. Didn't really, help him out. People always knew him as a pals. And I was like, think about it too. Jermaine O'Neal had that one time to win a championship, I think a few years back. He retired the year before the Warriors won the championship back in 2015. Yeah, 2015. He retired like the year before, pretty much. Or he could have, if he would have stayed that 1 year, he would have won a ring. And it just like with him and Reggie, they never got a chance to win a ring. Ron Artest, Steven Jackson did. Steven Jackson early in his career, Ron Artest won a championship, of course, with the Lakers. And Ron Artest even shouted them out in the interview when he won the finals. I even know that about Reggie and all I'm saying. It's one for them and everything. He wish he could have done it with them. But like I said, it's more focused on Jermaine O'Neal. He the one did his documentary. They just showed he was saying like he's always known for that now and this and the third. People that weren't even kids that weren't even born when it happens to ask about it and everything like that. And like I said, he felt like that kind of detrimented his career. And he's kind of felt like when Ron left, when him and Ron did have beef, he felt like when Ron decided to leave after that happened, because it's understandable. I don't know why Ron Artest wanted to get traded from Indiana, but the reason why he wanted to get traded from Indiana, because he felt like, hey, that was my jersey the last thing he had me was that brawl. So he just wanted to erase that whole memory from him and just didn't want to think about it no more. Which is understandable, definitely understandable. I understand where Ron Artest come from. He didn't want to deal with that no more. Even though, like I said, Jermaine said they built just a good team, and it's just like he felt that was just taken away from him pretty much, and he was just known for the brawl, not known more for like how much of a good player he was. And like I said, I'm saying this a whole bunch of times in the video. Jermaine O'Neal definitely to me top 5 greatest power forwards in the league. Definitely a good stretch big man. Could shoot. he wasn't a main 3-point shooter, but could shoot, block, score rebounds, and all. Like they said with him and Ron, they both were the same, both out there, and both maniacs out there on the court. But Jameer Neal was able to keep his calm more so than Ron was. But that's what kind of people look at Jameer Neal for, and then a champion more so, more of like, oh, the broad thing, and people not talking much how a good player he was. So he dealt with like that stuff that he dealt with a lot and everything. So he said it took a while for him and Ron Artest to get cool together because, like they said, when it was going on, like the brawl was going on, Ron Artest wasn't taking it seriously and all that, like thinking like, oh, what, like we getting arrested, like what about our careers and all that, what just happened and everything like that. And Jermaine, they was talking about how like they edited the video to find out who started, the fan that actually did it, and then like they were just people just taking videos from each side and all that, not seeing their side of the story. Understand like they didn't really do nothing wrong. They were defending themselves, which of course they were. Fans jump on the court, they throwing stuff at you. Got everybody defending yourself. Nowadays you can't do none of that. Like that's considered assault or anything. You go straight to jail, anything like that. But as you see now, what happened to Russell Westbrook and all that during the playoffs and stuff like that. Like fans definitely getting thrown out and all that immediately for that kind of stuff. But yeah, so we get that like Steven Jackson, like, we hear suspect of a thing. He don't want to talk about it no more. He threw it, not talking about the fan that threw the ball and everything like that. We hear Ron Artest like his motion thing, which I found out, of course, recently that Ron Artest was friends with even the guy that threw the ball in, which I don't know how you come back from that and be cool with somebody like that. Somebody throw a ball at your ass. It's almost equivalent to somebody, throwing a rock at you, really almost something like that. Now y'all they cool after that, even though the guy said it was a bet with a friend or something like that. But just how he seemed in documentaries, and like he was like an asshole about it though. In documentary and everything like that, like he didn't want to talk about it and all that. But like, and he the one that was joking around Tessa up when that thing was going on. He the one threw the bottle and all that. So it's just like I said. But I mean, hey, it is what it is. Ron Tess felt that was good for therapy for him to become cool with that guy and everything. But that seems very weird. But like I said, I enjoy the documentary. Like I said, I've seen a lot of stuff, of course, about the Malice and the Palace, so I'm familiar with a lot of stuff. But just another inside tip about other stuff that was going on camera about it and everything else. So, and like I said, very interesting. Just we get to see Jermaine O'Neal's story. Like Jermaine, like I said, I'm keeping telling you, Jermaine is one of my favorite players. So it was good to hear his take, what he had to go through, everything he went through with that, and like saying that was his shot, that was his team. Like that team was definitely built, like I said before, was to win a championship. I believe that doesn't happen. They beat Detroit and they go on to the championship that year and beat San Antonio. Cause that was everybody. That was all them players were in their prime except for Reggie Miller, and like I feel like they would have stopped. They definitely would have handled somebody like San Antonio. I feel like they would have, regardless how good of a coach Greg Popovich is. Even though he's just a legendary coach of all time to me. But still, I feel like the Pacers would have had that team was just too good. I thought they would have had and would have won a championship that year. So, but things happen. So I'm glad they put his documentary. I got to see other players' perspective, what they went through, everything that was going on with that. Like even like I said, how much one of the prosecutors had to like go. I think I forgot the guy. I think the guy was from the Oakland County officer had to just see and just look at the video like a few weeks or so, I think months, to find out who was the guy that threw the ball and how it all started and everything like that. Just real different respect. I definitely think you should check out the documentary if you're a basketball fan, if you're a fan of just anything documentaries, period. You definitely should watch it. Check out that documentary. But like I said, good. I was entertained with it, love it. Like I said, I'm a big basketball fan, so I definitely gonna watch anything basketball. So I loved it. Like I always say, man, thanks for subscribing to Slide Media. If you like more of the content, subscribe to Slide Media Sports / Hip Hop. My next video might not be till maybe Friday. I know Fat Joe and DJ Drama just announced they're doing a Gangsta Grills tape. I'm definitely gonna listen to that and do a review on here of that as well. I can't think of anything else unless a big free agents happen or anything like that. And fantasy football is coming up, so instead of no predictions about each team that's gonna win, I'm just gonna do fantasy football. Who you should start and should not start in fantasy football. But I will be doing college football recaps of anything happening in college football during the season, definitely on Saturdays. So just check out Slide Media Sports / Hip Hop, man. We coming. Come with more heat, come more energy, come more everything. Y'all have a good night. Y'all have a safe, be blessed out there, man. I love y'all, man. Anybody support me.